Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
I wanna visit all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days. I am Kathy Blaze, and today I am here with a talented Brandon McGill.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure. Look at that jacket.
Hey, thank you. Thought I would dress up a little bit for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
we coordinated without even trying.
Yes, and check out those shoes.
Oh, thank you. They're quite
Yes.
shiny. I wore them to the Ren
show off a
Fair.
good pair of shoes.
Thank
oh
you.
My goodness.
I wore them to Ren Fair and it was called the Elton John of the Fest. So that was
I
fun.
bet you were.
Yeah.
So you are an award-winning artist. Congratulations.
Thank you kindly. Appreciate
Thank you. And at what time, I like to ask, did you realize that this was what you wanted to do?
Well, a lot of people had to convince me that that's what I wanted to do. I was doing IT actually full time. And a lot of people would like, why are you here? Why are you working here? I'm like, to pay my bills just like you.
Right.
I didn't really believe in myself. And then one day, as the company was faltering a little bit, I decided to go, you know what, maybe this is my time to set out and try this on my own. And I've been doing it full time since 2017.
Right. So I've seen a lot of your work, and you are an amazing artist. You do body work. I mean, you just do some amazing things. And I believe I met you out at a networking event. And
Yeah, we met at a mixer.
yes, and I went and saw your page, and I was just wowed over the work that you do.
I appreciate it.
Tell us about one of your first pieces that you did.
Absolutely. Well, the first piece I ever did actually started as a canvas painting. I used to photograph models, and then I would, get the poses just right, and then I would paint them on canvas. And then the model said, "Why don't you just put that paint on me, and we'll just skip a step."
Right.
And I thought it was crazy, but we did it, and I posted it online. People said that this could be your next big thing, and I did a few more, and then within a year I won Makeup Artist of the Year.
Wow.
Just from taking that.
So that's how
that
you got
risk.
started
Yeah.
in doing body art.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So my next question was, are you self-taught or did you get training
Yeah.
or what? I mean, how was it? Just I'm throwing paint around with it?
I'm actually entirely self-taught. I did take an art class in junior high school,
Oh.
so that's my only formal training. But my mom was an artist, and I've
Oh,
always been obsessed with drawing. Ever since I could remember, I've always been creating art. And now I do music videos, movies, film. I have an escape room that has my art in it,
Okay.
all sorts of stuff. So and video games too.
So what was little Brandon like?
Okay. I would say probably little Brandon had a hard time. I grew up and had a really difficult childhood. And I ran away at home at 16 to take care of myself.
Okay.
So
were
I've always
you
been very independent.
so were you artistic at that time also? I said
Yeah.
artistic, not autistic.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've always been artistic.
Yeah.
Ever since my first memory, I've always been creating. I've always gotten in trouble in school. I've gotten in trouble at work for drawing constantly.
Okay.
It's just part of my way of like relaxing myself or connecting with my art or just being. I love making art.
Yes. That's a nice way of relaxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Creativity, I feel like a lot of people don't get to explore, or life takes that away from them. And they're like, oh, you need to focus on the 9 to 5 and working constantly. And people are constantly told, if you're an artist, you'll never make it.
Right.
But if we encourage people more, I think people would be a lot happier.
Because you work in IT
Yeah.
into the art world. That is such a huge
It's a
extreme.
wild transition.
Yes. Yes. Were you still doing the artwork back then?
Yeah. Mhm.
And what did people think about your artwork back then? I mean, because in IT they think of you as this nerdy person sitting in this
Right.
corner somewhere just crunching numbers. I
Absolutely.
mean, working on computers, and I mean, people have this idea what they think an IT person is.
And then they meet me.
Yes, totally. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even in IT, I kind of stuck out, and I was different. But because I was so different, I was able to innovate in different ways. I won we did this thing called Alpha Games, where you had to come up with like innovative concepts, and I did a new interface that improved and simplified a lot of things. And so I liked the IT stuff, but people always did kind of look at me a little strange.
So
and I
your
always wondered why I was
creativity
there.
helped you in IT also.
Yeah. It's like a blessing and a curse because it's a lot of energy I don't know what to do with. But if I can funnel it in ways that are productive, amazing.
So you do body art. Tell us some. Just give me a description of what it is that when a person think of Brandon, what it is that he does.
Yeah. As far as the transformation process, it's a really comfortable experience. I'm really focused on how the model feels and how they connect with the art, more so than the finished result. Because I know the finished result will happen. I know I'll get there, right? But I care about how they feel and what they're doing and what they're going through. So I check in and make sure they're comfortable, there's snacks, there's good music, and we have a great time. And then, 5, 6, 7 hours later, you have a full walking masterpiece.
So are you predominantly doing body art? I mean, does any paint ever get on a board or anything, or is it pretty much all body art?
Oh yeah, no, I paint everything. So body art is my bread and butter. That's what I do. It's my core of how I became successful. I'm Body Art Brandon on Instagram. And so I recognize and appreciate that side of me, but I also do lots of other things too. I was a game developer during the pandemic for a year, and I did concept art for that. And I'm working on my first solo title later this year. So I'm still always, like, body art is where it begins, but there's so much more to me too.
Who would utilize body art? I mean, who would come to you for body art?
It's a great question. I just did a maternity shoot last week with a new mother. Beautiful, beautiful. She was absolutely radiant. And then we did this sort of celestial galaxy with some Afro-future tribal artwork, kind of mixed in and interdispersed, inspired from the movie I did called Souls, with the director Malachi, an amazing Black director who's in LA. And it was incredible. She was like, no one else is going to see a maternity shoot like this. Like, this is so different. And I think that's why people choose me, is they're looking for something out of the ordinary, but extraordinary.
Awesome. So where do you get your ideas from? Where do you pull from?
Yeah. I'm very, like, pretty eclectic and kooky anyway. But I would say, like, early influences growing up would probably be like Clive Barker, even like Dr. Seuss with the colors and just how bright it was. A little bit of Tim Burton because I like that little bit of spookiness to it. I don't know. It's just a little bit of everything. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really like to look at other stuff when I create because then I feel like I take on that. It's easy as an artist to absorb. And so I usually just try to create from whatever chaos is in my head.
Are you pretty much a walking billboard of what you do?
Well, it's very easy for me to talk about it because when I was in IT, I felt like I couldn't talk about what I wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would always hide myself.
I totally understand it. I told you I was in IT for a long time, so I totally I pretty much kept whatever I did outside of that door.
Yep.
Till outside of that door. It never meshed with IT for me.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, I totally understand that. It had nothing to do with IT, or I just kept the things separate.
And it was like, it's one of those things where it wasn't very interesting to talk about. You're like, oh, I rebooted someone's software today. It's like, okay, great. What did you do today? You know what I mean? And now when I talk about what I do, it's exciting. It's fun. So it's very easy for me to just talk about it and be very comfortable expressing myself.
So body art. Okay, I'm going to use myself as someone that I have sensitive skin, allergies. What type of, I mean, are those questions you ask people before you do that? I mean, what is your process? What type of, do you use a certain type of body paint or tell me about that?
Yeah, those are great questions. So of course the skin is very sensitive and it's important to recognize that. I use water-based paints and they're very light on the skin. They also dry matte. So if you like touch it, it doesn't actually smear, which is really nice. They started out with cream-based paints, and those,
Yes.
you know what I mean? That's like the
yes.
theater makeup where it feels really
Right.
heavy.
Oh, yes.
That's what a lot of people think about when they think of wearing all that makeup. But it's actually really light and your skin breathes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Brandon, we were talking about the body art and the paint and the type of paint that you use on bodies because of sensitive skin and allergies and
Of course.
things. Hey, we live in also the elements, the heat.
Mhm.
We live in Arizona. How does that matte paint hold up, say, in a hot day that we may have?
Absolutely. I always try to keep it really air conditioned in the studio to wherever the model is comfortable with being, in a state of undress, but also being able to have paint on them.
Okay.
So usually it's whatever temperature they're most comfortable with.
Oh,
Because it's water-based paint, we don't want it to sweat.
right.
Yeah. So if they're outside in the hot heat, it doesn't hold up as well, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I know you bought some photos for us to take a look at. So
Absolutely.
why don't we take a look at some of
course.
those? Because I do have a couple other questions I want to ask, but I'll
Yeah.
wait till we see the pictures,
Absolutely.
okay?
For sure.
So what do we have here?
So this is from my book called Gods and Monsters, and it's a god called Anteros. And this was a painting that the model showed up, and I just said, "Do you have like 7 hours for me to glue stuff to
Wow.
you?" And I just built that on the fly.
Oh my.
Yeah. And it's just very, same thing with that. Those are from pieces of the forest on Seth, and we just kind of gathered them all up and created art directly on him. Oh, and he's actually standing on his knuckles, his toe knuckles.
Oh wow.
And he's playing an instrument that he built himself for this wonderful little duck, and it's from my Gods and Monsters book. This is from one of my newer projects called Supernova, and this is a neon painted blade with like a galaxy kind of body painting, and then the background I painted as well.
Oh,
It's all hand painted. And then finally, I have a tarot deck that's coming out this summer. And that's the King of Swords from the tarot deck. 87 people, including a pregnant mother, so 88 people were painted for this project.
wow.
Yeah, it's my largest project ever, actually.
Wow, that is so. You actually paint all these people by yourself?
I do.
So how long did it take? I mean, how long was this process?
Well, for example, the tarot deck, it's taken me almost 3 years. The magician alone, when I was the magician, that took me 3 months to build the hat and the whole armor and everything. So, I mean, it can be anything from a single day to months of work just for each body painting.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it really is.
Say the King of Swords. I mean, that's a lot of paint.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of work. I mean, the intricate details. How long would you say it would take to, say, do that on someone?
That one probably took about 6 or 7 hours, and I just made it up on the fly. So the crown I made up, the armor, everything, the whole chest chasm with the little glowing part, everything is DIY, and everything is custom built for the person I'm working with because everyone's different.
That's true.
We all have different body types,
Right.
and so I don't try to have expectations. I just go in at it and just make art.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, if someone say, "Hey, Brandon, I have this idea in mind, and I'm wondering if you can help me to create this," is that a partnership? I mean, you guys decide together, "Hey, this is how it's going to look," or do you expect them to come in there with the whole idea of how that look is going to be?
That's a good question. It depends on the project. So anyone can hire me off the street and be like, "Hey, I have this crazy idea. Would you paint it?" And as long as they approach me and they're professional, I'm happy to accommodate them. But I also have unique themed projects where I'm looking for a specific character or idea. And so we may have to have more of a conversation of what their expectations are and what they want to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a business for you.
It is.
Okay. So are there, other than people on the street or someone that's sanctioning you for personal events, do you work with say film productions or any other types of productions?
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my most recent film that I did was called Souls with a director named Malachi. And she brought together this cast to tell an Afro kind of future sci-fi story of 3 generations of women. And what it's like to have a grandmother that has Alzheimer's and that relationship between her and her daughter or her granddaughter and how that was hard and her escapism that she would explore. And so I did a lot of body art with that. I've also done a number of music videos and won Best Music Video from the Arizona Republic and the Phoenix New Times.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Do you have any upcoming projects?
Yeah, I'll be at Phoenix Fan Fusion next week, which I'm so excited about.
Congratulations.
Be painting on stage on Friday, May 27th. And then, of course, I have a tour coming up later this year.
Okay. What is it like to paint? What's the feeling for you to paint on stage in front of this audience?
It's kind of exciting. I become a more elevated version of myself. I paint faster because I have to. Sometimes you only have an hour or 2 hours on stage, so sometimes I'll be using 2 paintbrushes, and I'm like going to town, right? I've been told I have the fastest paintbrush in the West.
Okay.
I don't believe it, but you have to really give it your all when you're on stage because everyone's watching, and you want them to see the most interesting elevated version of whatever you're trying to create for them.
Do they give you a theme that you're going for, or are you able to create whatever you want?
It depends. Like Dillard's usually will give me a theme. Different events will have, maybe I'll tie it into whatever's going on. A really particularly challenging one was I had a whiteout theme, and I'm like, but my art is so colorful. What am I going to do with just white?
Oh.
So that was probably my hardest event that I've done.
Okay. And you mentioned Dillard's. What do you do for them?
So I'm really kind of their lure for their events. I bring people into the mall. People are like, what is going on? What is this?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I'm creating Van Gogh Starry Night, but on a person. So people just they get invested and they want to watch. They want to come back. And so a lot of my events that I do is really just to give people a story to follow from start to end because people are invested to see what it looks like when it's finished.
I've seen a lot of your work, and you do a lot on yourself.
I do.
How is that? How are you able to do so much on yourself?
It's impossibly difficult and takes way too long. Actually, I don't love painting myself. I'm more of a person that likes to paint other people. But I do paint myself because sometimes that's a way of me conveying, an idea or a story, right? But it is a lot harder because you have to look in the mirror. Everything's reversed.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, it's really easy to mess up. So it does. It takes me twice as long, I think.
How often do you paint yourself?
Usually a few times a year, just to challenge myself. Plus, it helps me empathize with what the models are going through.
So what's been the hardest project for you thus far?
Oh my goodness. I think the hardest project was, I think probably this tarot deck, really. Because it was right before the pandemic. I was in a committed relationship. I had a fiance. And as everyone knows, it tested your relationships, it tested your job, your business, your friends, your family. And so it was something that I had to still get through and finish and complete. Even though all elements of my life were falling apart, I still had to hold it together. And we did a Kickstarter at the end. We raised 20 grand.
Yeah,
congratulations. We hit the goal within 72 hours.
Wow.
And doubled what we were looking for. So
wow.
In the end, it worked out. But it was such a hard project to do.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Thank you.
So you mentioned a book. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, I actually have 5 books. I'm working on a 6th
You are
book.
a busy man.
Yeah, I have 5 books or 6 books coming up. The new one's The Magician's Companion. But it's Alive in Wonderland, Gods and Monsters, Neon City, Zodiac, and then maybe a poem might fracture things with Best Hardy was a poetry collaboration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you painting everything in these books?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
And I've done over 1,300 body paintings.
Wow.
So I've really
awesome.
conquered a lot, and that's only within the last not even 10 years.
That is awesome. Have you ever painted your mom?
No, my mom is supportive. I think that was really hard in the beginning because I didn't think she was super supportive, and my dad too. But both of them will come around and. They're really. My dad bought my tarot deck.
Oh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
And my mom still does art from time to time. Yeah,
wow, that's wonderful. Are they native of Arizona? Do they live here?
They both live here. Interestingly enough, I'm not a native of Arizona. They moved to California, had me.
But I accept you.
Thank you. They had me, and then they came right back.
Oh, okay.
They were just like, we just want you to be from California for just a moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I'm technically from LA, but not really. I've lived here my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep you.
Yeah, maybe it's just that little splash of personality.
Yeah. So where can our audience find you?
Absolutely. If you're on social media, it's usually Body Art Brandon,
Okay.
or you can go to brandonmcgill.com, or you can Google my name, but put on your safe for work filter. Because my body art really encompasses the whole body,
Right.
And so you will see bodies that are, just as they
Well,
are, which I
it's
think is beautiful.
Which is called body art.
It is called body art, right? We're not
Yes.
it's not just shoulder art.
Right. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you here today.
Likewise.
That jacket, where'd you get that jacket?
I actually got it from Arizona Mills.
Okay.
There's this cute store that has a whole bunch of suit jackets
Okay.
and fun. That's where I got the shoes from
And
too.
show off the necklace there.
Yeah.
Let me see that.
It's
Oh
like a
my,
beautiful pyramid of
that-
Steve Madden.
oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
love that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're just all sassy.
I try to do wearing my Nana's ring. So we've got all the fun accessories.
Well, thank you for joining us
Hey,
today.
thank
It's
you so
such a
much.
pleasure.
It was a pleasure, and it was great talking with
And we
you.
look for more work from Brandon McGill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kathy.
And thank you for joining us today here at Desertwood Days, and we will catch you next time.
Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze was sponsored by Dork Publishing. Visit them at dorkpublishing.com.